Ooh, what's good, Commanders fans? I hope everybody had a good weekend and everybody had a good Sunday. Just wanted to chime in on this report from Chris Halicke about the Steelers reaching out about Terry McLaurin and calling the Commanders about inquiring about Terry McLaurin. So Chris Halicke, he says, one opportunity that came along was after the Commanders star Terry McLaurin officially requested a trade last week. He says, quote, as I reported yesterday, the Steelers did reach out about a trade, but are not expected to pursue it any further. Given Terry McLaurin's desire to be a number one receiver wherever he plays, since the Steelers are paying DK Metcalf $150 million over the next 5 years, they've committed to him as their top guy. So they are not going to be pursuing Terry McLaurin, probably because Adam Peters turned the trade down anyway. But now they're saying it's because Terry wants to be a number one wherever he goes. And honestly, I think, I think it's just Terry saying that he doesn't want to leave anyway. I feel like Terry wants to be here, especially after him dapping up Adam Peters and hugging Jaden's mom. I know Jaden hugged him first, not saying he wasn't going to hug her anyway, but, signing autographs and just being so peachy cheery in a good mood, and then wearing a tank with the word team on the back of it. Like, somebody who's really just kind of like, you compare him to Michael Parsons, like, it's totally polar opposites. Like, I get it, Terry's upset. He did the whole Eastern Motors presser and all that stuff. But Terry's trade request is just so different than a lot of the trade requests we've seen before. And even some of the bad trade requests or bad relationships that we've seen. Brandon Ayuk, that was terrible, where he was posting pictures of Jaden Daniels in practice and videos, and going to the mall with Jaden allegedly, and going on the Pivot podcast with Jaden. He named 3 teams that he wanted to go to. Like, Terry has not gotten anywhere near as bad as Brandon Ayuk. Even Myles Garrett wrote a letter. He wrote a book on requesting a trade and signed off on it. Ended up staying. Jamar Chase requested a trade. Lamar Jackson requested a trade. That got pretty ugly with the Ravens last year or a couple years ago. Trey Hendrickson has gotten really ugly, where Trey Hendrickson was in his golf attire and was going in on the team during a press conference as well. Terrell Owens, 20-something years ago. But as recently T. Higgins requested a trade last year before he got his deal. I mean, like, this is just a negotiation tactic that people do. But typically you do see the players act more upset and more disgruntled, and their body language is bad. And yes, I'm not a body language doctor, but you just look at Terry McLaurin. You can tell that he wants to be out there and wants to play with his guys and play with Jaden and just be with his team and be a leader out there as well. You can just tell that it's just really not Terry's personality. Now, I'm not going to act like I know him personally, but we've seen him for the past 6 or 5 seasons, and it's just not the kind of guy that we've seen. Like, you get a read on a player when you've seen them seen them do interviews and all kinds of stuff when you see a guy here for 5 or 4 years. Honestly, with the Skins and Commanders, you can kind of tell what kind of player you're getting into from the jump. Like, us as fans, like, you kind of get to know the personality of the player pretty quickly. We pick up on stuff like that pretty quickly, to be honest. But yeah, I mean, I just don't see Terry leaving the team or getting traded. It's just a negotiation tactic, as we all know. But yeah, I mean, this guy Chris Halicke said the Steelers called, and I'm not surprised. I mean, you look at the receiving core; it's not great. They just got DK, that's it. He's their number one, and really DK is a guy that needs another guy really next to him. You can say that about every receiver, but DK, he's a number one, but he's like a 1B in my opinion. Terry's a 1A in my opinion. And that's why I think Terry's better than DK. DK is a darn good receiver. But they got Calvin Austin, who is solid. They're even inquiring about Gabriel Davis. Like, that's how down bad the Steelers are right now. Yeah, so they're not pursuing Gabriel Davis per this guy, Chris Halicke, but they are pursuing like other receivers and stuff like that. So, I mean, they got Calvin Austin, and that's really it. He's dealing with a minor day-to-day injury. So they are desperate. They got Robert Woods, who's elderly. Scotty Miller, haven't really seen him do much in the past couple of years. Ben Skwarnick, barely heard of him. They did get Jonnu Smith, but that's a tight end. So they just don't have a lot at the wide receiver position. They're really lacking. The cupboard is bare in their wide receiver position. So they would love to have Terry. And then Terry wanting to be a number one, it limits the options too. If he really wants out, it limits his options. Because other teams have a lot of other teams already have a wide receiver number one in place. You know, you look at the NFC East. All three of the other NFC East teams have a wide receiver one. And that would not. I'm just hypothetically speaking here. We wouldn't trade him within the NFC East, even though we traded a receiver last year within the NFC East. But Terry's a lot better. You get the point that a lot of the top teams already have a wide receiver number one on their roster. Like the Patriots, Stephon Diggs is like a wide receiver number two right now. The Raiders don't have Jacoby Myers is a good number two. The Titans don't have a wide receiver one. Kyle Ridley's like a number two at this point. The Chargers do have Lab McConkey, and the Jets do have Garrett Wilson. So if he really wants to be a wide receiver number one and really is standing on wanting a trade, there's you know his options are very limited if he wants to go to a competitor. For sure. Like the Browns don't have a wide receiver number one at this point. They have Jerry Jeudy, but he's like a number two. And they're terrible. So it's like, it's in his best interest to stay too, man. It really is. It's in his best interest to stay. You know, if he wants to, you know, have a chance at winning a Super Bowl, his best chance to really is to stay here and be with Gene. It's like you finally got a quarterback, man. Like after all these years of playing Russian roulette with quarterbacks and the quarterback carousel, you know, you finally got a quarterback here, and this is the time where he puts in the pseudo trade request. So, but yeah, the Steelers, they do have a lot of draft capital. They do have that. I'll say that. That's like one positive. They have a first-round pick, a second-round pick, and they have 3 third-round picks in 2026, 2 fourths, 2 fifths, 2 sixths, and a 7th. So that's what they do have. They do have a lot of draft capital. I'll say that. But other than that, I wouldn't trade Terry anyway. There's really no point in trading him, especially if you want to win. All right, so let's go to Deebo. And some other trade proposals and stuff like that. So some other trade proposals, the Jets for Alan Lazard and a 2026 second-round pick and the third-round pick in 2027, I would pass on that. Trading Terry to the Bills for Khalil Shakir in a second and a fourth, I would pass on that. In all these trades, I would pass on. Rashad Bateman, Adefe Owe, and a second-round pick in 2026. That one, I mean, you do get a solid edge and a second-round pick, but Rashad Bateman, you get a middle-tier receiver, number 2 receiver in this league, but it's still not worth it for Terry. Like, all those trades, I would stay. If Terry really wanted out, the one that I would do probably would be that Ravens trade. Adefe Owe and a second-round pick, and Rashad Bateman, I feel like Rashad Bateman has potential to get 1,000 yards in the league. I do like Khalil Shakir, though, too. I do like Khalil. I think the worst one would be the Alan Lazard trade, and then second after the Ravens trade would be Khalil Shakir, and a second and a fourth. But like I said, these are all hypotheticals, and I would not make these trades. All right, so Deebo Samuel is fine. Mike Garafolo had an interesting exchange with Deebo on NFL Network. He was like, he jammed his finger, and he was like, I'm going to dap up Deebo. Deebo didn't really want to dap him up. Deebo ended up dapping him up, and then Mike was like, oh, is this live? Is this live? Cut it. And then the other co-host was like, no, you can't because it's live. So it was definitely interesting for sure. I wouldn't make too much out of it. We know how Deebo is. He is a tough guy. He's a good guy, though. He will joke around and stuff like that, but it looked like he just was not feeling it at the moment. And Mike Garafolo was not supposed to release that information, as we are very, very tight-lipped about being nicked up or banged up. We saw how the Noah Brown situation was handled. Nobody talks about that at all. And then Brandon Coleman, nobody has reported anything. So he may be fine tomorrow. You know, they do have practice tomorrow, and then hopefully he does play in the joint practice against the Patriots, and hopefully he does play against the Patriots on Friday night as well. We'll see. So, but all right, that's about it for today, guys. Hope you guys have a great weekend. Healthy Commanders. Peace.